Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Sarah Wong. Our top stories tonight. Tracking bracelets and a more sophisticated COVID pass touted by the government in its fine-tuning of quarantine policies. Macau casinos shuttered for the second time in 2 years to curb a COVID outbreak. Hong Kong's health minister announced that all COVID patients under home quarantine will have to wear a tracking bracelet from Friday. Lo Chong-mao also indicated a health code system will be integrated into the existing Leave Home Safe app. Joanna Ho reports.
Starting on Friday, over 12,000 COVID patients serving home quarantine will be required to wear a tracking wristband. Health Chief Lo Chong-mao said the new measure ensured infected individuals will not spread the virus in the community. The new administration has been continuously fine-tuning its COVID policy in the past week. Next up could be the introduction of a color-based health code system into the Leave Home Safe app. Those who return positive results through PCR test will be given a red code and be barred from entering venues requiring a COVID pass. Non-infected people who are deemed to be high risk will be given a yellow code. They cannot enter high-risk premises such as hospitals and care homes. The adjustments could pave the way for shorter hotel quarantine for inbound travelers. Asked whether such a new measure would discourage citizens from reporting infections, Lo urged the public to think of the consequences.
And with legal implications, I would suggest Hong Kong citizens to consider the health perspective of the whole population. And if they have a red positive, they should report, and this is by law.
The hospital authority, meanwhile, assured that contingency plans are already in place so that more beds could be arranged on short notice in case of a COVID surge in the coming weeks. The city added 2,863 infections today, 252 of which were imported. There were also 7 COVID-related deaths. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Mainland-bound travelers continue to swarm the Shenzhen Bay border checkpoint this morning. Hundreds were stuck at the border crossing for hours waiting to receive a PCR test. This surge in northbound travel came after Shenzhen authorities raised the daily quarantine quota for Hong Kong travelers from 1,300 to 2,000. Health Chief Lo Chong-mao once again apologized for the delay. He confirmed an online reservation system for COVID tests at the border could be up and running in the next few days. By processing 500 bookings per hour, Lo said the aim is to release travelers within 2 hours. For the second time in 2 years, Macau has shut down all its casinos to ring in a COVID outbreak. Only essential workers are allowed to leave their homes, but some also face trouble going around the city. Chloe Feng reports.
After allowing its casinos to stay open in the past weeks, the dice finally stopped rolling in Macau. From midnight, casinos were shuttered in the face of an Omicron surge at the gambling city. The government made the U-turn after only saying last month that casinos were protected by an agreement which gives them immunity from COVID-induced suspensions. But the relentless spread of the virus meant the gaming centers, which account for over 80% of public revenue, must join other non-essential trades in suspending business for 7 days. With most public transport halted, streets in the densely populated city became deserted. Essential workers, including civil servants, anti-epidemic staff, cleaners, and security guards could still go to work via 30 shuttle bus routes. But they will need to present special permits before boarding, on top of a greenhouse code to prove they're COVID-free. This resident said she had no complaints as long as she was allowed to go to work. But a foreign domestic helper had trouble getting onto a shuttle bus, even though she had the necessary permits.
When we go inside the bus, I show my blue card, but we don't accept. That's why we still here to waiting our boss to pick up here.
Macau residents are ordered to stay home this week unless they need to go out for emergency reasons or to purchase essential items. They must also wear KN95 masks in the public. Another 59 new cases were registered, taking the tally of its latest wave to 1,526. Chloe Fong, HKIBC.
A 42-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly running over a cat and leaving it for dead in Yunlong. A video circulating online showed a cat sitting in the middle of a single-lane road when a black private car approached in low speed and ran over the animal. The driver did not stop after the accident and left the scene. The cat limped for a few meters before collapsing on the roadside. Its owner alerted police after discovering the crime from surveillance camera footage. Under a law revision last year, drivers who fail to stop after hitting a cat or a dog face up to 12 months in jail. For the first time ever, the voting register for the rural representative election could be accessed by parties other than the media and the candidates themselves. A number of other suggestions have been made to streamline the village polls, which will be held next year. Janice Lowe reports.
Held every 4 years, the rural representative election selects more than 1,500 leaders in rural villages in the new territories. The scale of the polls meant villagers often had to wait until the next day to find out the result. But under proposed amendments to speed up ballot counting, that could be a thing of the past. The Electoral Affairs Commission is now proposing that ballot papers be counted at the same station they were cast. This is compared to sending the ballot papers to a central counting station. To improve transparency and authenticity, the voters' registration particulars could be inspected by parties other than the media and candidates. Commission Chairman Barnabas Fong suggested expanding the privilege to the Heung Yikok, Rural Committee and indigenous villagers. Anyone who had breached the oath or failed to fulfill the legal requirements in the 5 years leading up to the election will be barred from contesting. A month-long public consultation has been launched on the recommendations. Janice Lowe, HKIBC.
Turning overseas, Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party has clinched a clear majority in the upper house following the assassination of its former leader Shinzo Abe. This as senior officials from China and the United States paid respect to the slain Japanese statesman. Fresh off the G20 meeting in Indonesia, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken dropped by Tokyo to meet Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Japan is grieving in disbelief after its longest-serving leader Shinzo Abe was assassinated last week. America's top diplomat gave letters penned by President Joe Biden to Abe's family and hailed his legacy.
I shared with our Japanese colleagues the sense of loss, the sense of shock that we all feel, the American people feel, at this horrific tragedy and killing. More than allies, we're friends. And when a friend is hurting, other friends show up.
67-year-old Abe wielded significant influence in the political arena at home and abroad, even after he stepped down in 2020 over health reasons. During his 8-year leadership, Abe championed a stronger security and political alliance with the United States and regional partners to counter China's rise. Even his ties with Beijing were cool. Vice Foreign Minister Ma Zhaoxu stopped by the Japanese embassy in the capital to pay his tribute. But some ultra-nationalists who begrudged Abe's hawkish stance expressed relief and even joy over his death online. Other Chinese netizens resented Abe's unapologetic visit to the Yasukuni Shrine, where military generals who committed war crimes in China were worshipped. Abe's legacy also included trying to amend Japan's pacifist post-war constitution to boost its military influence overseas. That goal became closer to reality after his Liberal Democratic Party swept to an outright majority in the upper house in the wake of his killing. U.S. ride-hailing company Uber was accused of lobbying policymakers to skirt regulations to push into markets around the world. Emmanuel Macron was among the politicians engaging with Uber before he became French president. The questionable practices came under scrutiny after tens of thousands of confidential files were leaked to news outlets. Uber's former chief executive Travis Kalanick reportedly approved of violence against Uber drivers to attract public support. Investigative journalists also found that Uber used stealth technology to bar authorities from gathering evidence. The San Francisco-based firm claimed that it has undergone reforms under its current leader, Dara Khosrowshahi. The Hong Kong stock market recorded its worst performance in a month, weighed down by tech giants amid a renewed regulatory offensive from the government. The Hang Seng Index plunged close to 2.8%. Alibaba dived 5.8%, while Tencent ended the day 2.9% lower. Casino-related stocks also fell sharply, following a 7-day suspension in Macau. Bloomberg estimated that gross gaming revenue of the casinos will drop to less than 1/10 of pre-pandemic times. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed down 601 points. Top 10 active stocks: Tencent down $10.20, Alibaba down $7, and Meituan down $10.70. BYD Company down $14, JD.com down $10.80, and Wuxi Biologics down $2.95. Floors trading against Hong Kong dollar. Euro is trading at 7.82, British pound at 9.37, and Australian dollar 5.31. Over to the UK market, FTSE 100 is down 22 points. On to the weather now. The searing heat will stay with us for a couple more days. Temperatures tomorrow will range between 28 and 35 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for this Monday night. Join us for updates at 11. I'm Sarah Wong. Thanks for watching. Please stay safe and take care.